Hey everyone, welcome to our show Timeout. I'm your host Trey Avant with my co-host, my brother Noah Avant, and this is a two-man webcast that discusses sports and entertainment. Before we begin, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune on all social media platforms. Just look for at Boca Tribune on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also follow the show on Instagram at the_timeout7. Huddle up, it's time for a timeout. All right, Noah. Bradley Beal recently announced that he does not want to be traded from Washington Wizards. So what does that mean for the Heat? The Heat are looking for an all-star caliber player to complement Bam and Jimmy. So what do you think this means for the Heat?
Honestly, I don't know. The thing about the whole with waiting for Giannis and praying on Brad Bill, we were really living on a prayer in a sense for those guys. That one day that they would just come out and say, "Okay, I want to play for the Heat." Giannis being next year in free agency, and Brad Bill hope would have been via trade. But with the Miami Heat, now we're in a situation where okay, do we go all in with Brad for Victor Oladipo in March? Right before the trade deadline, or we're gonna try to go get somebody else. I don't know. I feel like I definitely feel like with everything that's going on, it's definitely putting Pat Riley in a situation. Granted, we did finally get our team back from COVID. Granted, we haven't had them for most of the season. So who knows? But losing the game, dropping the game to the Charlotte Hornets, Malik Monk putting 36 on us, that's not a good look. That's not a good look at all. Yesterday, dropping the game to the Washington Wizards, that's not a good look for us. You know what I'm saying? So like us losing those games, I mean the Miami Heat losing those games, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And where the season is abbreviated, where we lose 10 games, we really don't have the luxury to okay, we can get it later on. We have to get it now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see what Pat Riley does. And our perimeter, the thing that we're lacking in, and I hate to say it, is Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero cannot be on the floor at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. And not to say that they're not good. Well, Duncan Robinson's not a good perimeter defender. I don't care what anybody says, but Tyler Hero is not the best. He has potential to be better, but he's not the best.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Instead of having maybe one mismatch on the floor, we have a definite 1.5 to 2, like 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel like a lot of our games we're losing.
I feel like the games we're losing is simply because we don't have, a true a big man that can complement Bam. You
Yeah.
know, when you have Bam playing a five, you want someone who's like a consistent four, like Jay Crowder, or if you have Bam playing four, you want someone who's a big man that can block shots and grab rebounds and let Bam do what he does on the perimeter. The Heat don't have that. They have Kelly Olynyk.
And it sounds like I was saying, like I was saying before in the past, Andre Drummond would have been a great fit for Miami. Yes, he can't space the floor. I know you want somebody that's going to space the floor, but at the end of the day, we have shooters around him. We have shooters for that. We need an
Christian,
actual
Christian,
big man that can be in the paint. We don't need Christian. We need somebody that's going to be at least 6'10", 6'11", that's going to scare somebody. We don't need these big soft guys that just want to shoot threes the whole time. I'm sorry. We need a guy that's going to be in there blocking shots, grabbing rebounds.
Christian
We
Wood is
need
actually pretty good though.
He's pretty good, yeah, but we need somebody that's going to be a post guy. We need a guy like Andre Drummond,
But
Paul Millsap.
Christian Wood is averaging 23, 10, and 2.
Yeah, but you think Houston's going to give him up
No,
for?
I'm talking about like when he was a free agent.
Yeah, but I'm talking about now, guys we can actually get now.
True.
Realistically speaking, Hassan Whiteside wouldn't even be bad.
Yeah, yeah, but the Heat don't want him. The Heat don't want him. But he would be a
I
great
mean, yeah,
alternative.
because it's the thing with Hassan Whiteside is his work ethic. I really feel like him and Jimmy will bump heads because Hassan is lazy at times. That's not going to
Mhm.
work in Miami. But like that's something we're definitely gonna need. I really feel like the perimeter defense needs help and our post defense needs help. But
Yeah.
overall, even if we were to make the playoffs, I don't see us making it past the first and second round, just because look at what we're struggling against. We're struggling against the Hornets and we're struggling against the Wizards.
Mhm. I mean, me personally, I feel like the Heat don't really have too much to worry about because we still have more games to play with the Beal and Victor Oladipo stuff. I wouldn't make a move for Victor Oladipo this season simply because he's gonna be a free agent after the season. It makes no sense to trade for him if he's gonna leave the Rockets anyways. With Beal, obviously, you're not gonna trade for him. But when we were talking about Giannis, the Heat had made this mistake in the past. Waiting on players and you don't have a guarantee that they're gonna, sign with you. I mean, they did that
Yeah.
before. They did that before with Kevin Durant. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and we ended up losing Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's no guarantee that a person's gonna sign with you. So you might as well try to make your team as good as they can be right now. And hopefully if the players says I want to come to your team, then you can make moves and figure stuff out.
I do
But
feel like
you know,
ultimately we dropped the bag when we did not get Jay Crowder.
mm,
Not having Jay Crowder really put a hole in our whole thing, our whole team.
mm,
And that's with all due respect to our front office. But at the end of the day, Jay Crowder was that glue that held us together. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, okay, whether we don't have Jay Crowder, if we don't have Jimmy on somebody, Jay Crowder's guarding. If we don't got Jay Crowder on it, we got Bam on. You see what I'm saying? Like he was like that. That defense gave us three prongs on defense where we could, in a sense, lock somebody down. That's
mm,
what made us so effective against Giannis. That's what made us so effective against Boston. And ultimately, that's what really gave us them two games against the LA Lakers, were them three guys on defense. Well, we were trying to replace Jay Crowder for Mo Harkless, who, and honestly, was a good thought. It was a wishful thinking. It helped. It hindered the Miami Heat tremendously.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the best thing to do at this point is to, you know, try to do it the best we got.
I agree. I agree. I think the Heat will turn it
Moving
around this season though.
Definitely. So the Los Angeles Lakers played the Atlanta Hawks on Monday, and the game went pretty much how everybody else expected. The Lakers won 107-99. LeBron had 21, 7 and 9. AD had 25 points with 3 blocks. But the main thing about this game that got everybody's attention was a couple on the sidelines that had a bit of words for LeBron James. The guy called LeBron. I think he was something about him being on steroids. And LeBron looked back and told him to sit down. We're gonna keep it PG because we're on the air. And his wife, who social media has called her courtside Karen, had some words for LeBron as well. Ultimately, the two got escorted out of the arena, and the rest is basically on social media for everybody to check it out. Trey, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, frankly, I think they're blowing it out of proportion. It's not that big of a deal. It's just LeBron. LeBron was kind of like pandering to it a little bit because it's the first time fans are in the arena. They're like fans been in the arena for what in all the arenas for like about 2 weeks now, maybe a week. So
Just
this is the
about.
first time. It's the first time with fan interaction. So LeBron gets heckled all the time, and he
Yeah.
usually doesn't. He usually doesn't respond to it. Now this is the first time he's probably getting heckled this season, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I might as well play around a little bit." And then when LeBron does something, people are gonna blow it out of proportion. So I mean, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't know what exactly was said. It wasn't that bad because if it was really bad, LeBron would have said something to the media like, "Hey, she called me, da 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 da." But I mean, it's just regular heckling. It happens all the time.
Okay, but take this for an example. Oh well, you're kind of young. You've heard about it, I'm sure, because you keep up with sports. But remember, well, the Pistons when the Pistons and the Pacers played, and Ron
That's
Artest is in the crowd
that's different.
throwing throwing
That's
balls. I
that's
mean,
that's
like,
that's really different.
but look, like that situations like that. There's situations even with Russell Westbrook in Utah. Like a couple seasons ago.
See,
Like
that was
all
also different. That was also different.
But look, these are situations where like the guests, I mean the fans are crossing that line of disrespect, and they're disrespecting the athletes on the floor. Like at that point, this stuff is really getting out of hand. I really feel like the NBA needs to come up with a policy or a rule in place to really ensure that these guys are getting the respect that they deserve. Like at the end of the day, yeah, these guys are still human beings. They bleed red. They have feelings. They have families. And I don't really feel like a lot of the fans that are going to these games really understand that. I think they
Yeah,
really think that they're like watching 2K live.
yeah. A lot of the fans are very entitled. They're very entitled. Now, there's not really much the NBA could do about it because people are gonna say what they want to say.
Yeah,
You can't really censor that.
you can when you can't, but you can implement rules like you can be stripped of your season tickets or your courtside tickets with no refund. Stuff like that. Like when at the end of the day, because she's talking about, well, we paid for these tickets, we bought. Okay, well, you can lose those tickets and not get your money back because you don't know how to act.
But if they get escorted out of the arena anyways, then they're not getting a refund.
Yes, but at the end of the day, they can still come back to those tickets. They can still come
That
back
is true.
another game.
They
So
still
if I
they
say
still
you
can come
can't
back.
come back ever again because you crossed the line of disrespect, because you couldn't keep your mouth closed, you couldn't treat somebody with respect. You see what I'm
So
saying?
do you think it should be an NBA thing and not like a team thing? Because
It should be
Hawk,
an NBA thing.
because who
Absolutely.
was it? It was the Hawks. It was the Hawks, right?
Hmm.
The Hawks was like, oh, we're not going to ban her. Some places would ban her. Some teams would ban her. I guess it depends on the situation. So do you think it should be an NBA thing and not like
Yes.
case, like not a team thing, like not case by case? Like
No.
it
It
should be
needs
like,
to be an overall NBA thing. If you cross the line, you do not need to be there. At the end of the day, it's a respect thing. That lady
mhm.
had no business coming out of her seat, disrespecting Michael Jordan, disrespecting LeBron, disrespecting all of these people, and that guy had no place disrespecting Russ. They don't want the NBA players to get mad and knocking them out at a frustration. So at the end of the day, it needs to be something in place.
Yes, sir. I agree. I agree to a certain extent, yeah. But going back to what you said about the Pistons, that man physically assaulted Ron Artest. So he deserved that.
I agree,
And Steven
but they
Jackson
don't.
had his back. Steven Jackson had his back. Steven Jackson he was in there.
But listen, if you do not want it to get to the point where you have fans fighting the players or players fighting the fans, this is where it starts. It starts with words and escalates to action. Very rarely you just see somebody walk up on somebody without and then just knocking them out. No, it's words. There's words said in between the start of the fight. I mean, the beginning of the fight and the actual fight. There's words in between that. So if you go ahead and you make that policy where those words prevent it getting to that point, you see what I'm saying? It starts there and then it goes and then it progresses.
Okay, what about if fans are heckling players or players are not responding? For example, with the Raptors,
Mhm.
Drake heckles players all the time. But the players just like whatever.
Yeah, but Drake's not saying anything disrespectful either.
Mm, I mean, it could be disrespectful, but it's also jokes. It's jokes. It's joking disrespectfully.
Okay, but what that lady did in Atlanta was not jokes.
I know, but that's because LeBron doesn't know her. Now let's just say whatever Drake is saying the same stuff, right? But
Hmm.
they know each other. But security or whatever, they take that as like a threat. They're like, oh,
Sit your butt down. Sit down.
so you're saying
You don't play. Sit down. He needs to
You're
sit
saying
down.
Drake
Yes.
could
Oh
lose
bye.
his
Sit down.
courtside tickets.
That's tough. Sit
But also,
down.
yeah. Okay,
There's
okay.
no other way around. Sit down. We're not here for you. We're here for them.
Hmm.
Like, okay, get your little camera time, wink at the camera for the ladies, whatever you're gonna do. But we are not here to watch you, Drake. We're here to watch the Toronto Raptors.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, that's all it is to it.
I see what point you're trying to make. But moving on, the NBA came up with the All-Star voting recently. LeBron James and Kevin Durant are leading from the East and the West. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's pretty much expected. LeBron is playing at a high level, and Kevin Durant is as well. I mean, these are two guys that are favored for the MVP. So I mean, it only makes sense that they would be leading in their respective conferences. It is going to be interesting to see who finishes. Um, I would love to see Kevin Durant and Kyrie and James Harden, all three of them, make an All Star team together. Can you walk around this way, please? This is stuff like that. So that way, it's more of a like a wow. Their first year together, they all came together and they all made the All Star team. But I mean, would James Harden necessarily be an Eastern All Star? Would he be a Western All Star?
He'd be in the East.
Interesting. So I mean, like it'd be cool to see. I mean, the East this year, the Eastern All Stars really have a stacked team. I think the actual All Star game is actually even now. Now that we have KD and James Harden on one team,
Mhm.
Jason Tatum,
Bradley Beal is actually leading
hopefully
all the
Bam
guards.
and Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal's leading all the guards in votes right now.
It's well deserved. I
It's
mean, he
crazy
should have
because
made it last year.
he didn't even make the All Star team last year. That's crazy.
And even that's just sickening. But I mean, I really feel like at the end of the day, the NBA has to step in at some point. I think it was last year. Taco had so many, had a certain amount of votes. I'm like, yeah, I understand you want to get the fans involved when it comes out to your All Star voting, but at the end of the day, you've gotta reward the guys that's hooping.
Klay Thompson has actually finished in the top 10 with his guard at the West guards, and he hasn't played the season.
You see what I'm saying? Like fans are gonna vote for their favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day,
Carmelo's up there as well.
you see what I'm saying? Like the fans are gonna vote for their favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
That at the end of the day, that's all it is to it. We know Carmelo Anthony has not been playing at the level where he should be an all star. He's playing good, but an all star level, no, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what would be a good idea for the future would be like maybe a fan favorite All Star game that they could do, and on a Saturday, All Star game Saturday, maybe right after the dunk contest or right before the dunk contest, they could have like a college style game with two halves where the fans vote for their fan favorites. They have a team of five, so they'll do five versus 5v5, and they'll do a quick game, 21 30-minute half, whatever, of basketball. That would be a good idea for the fans. This so that way the fans can actually get guys that they actually want to see in the All Star game versus guys that actually should make the All Star game.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me a couple years ago. Before we cut the commercial, it reminded me a couple years ago when Linsanity was going on, and he was like top 5 in votes. And we all knew he didn't deserve that. He was playing good, but he wasn't playing at an all-star level. And
You
he,
see
he
what
was
I'm
he
saying?
was only extremely good for 2 weeks. So
I just feel like that'd be something that it'd be good for the NBA to consider. Just another way so that way fans vote the actual All Star game to keep its integrity and the fans to get what they want.
mm-hmm.
But
But
we do have a commercial. Let's Trey.
cut to it. You're watching Timeout with the Avant Bros. If you enjoy the show, please click the share button to share the stream with all your friends. Also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune on all social media platforms. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for @Boca Tribune. You can also follow the show on Instagram at _timeout7. See you soon.
Information. If it exists in writing, we print it. If it exists online, we update it. If it exists on mobile, we notify. If it exists in video, we show it. If it exists in audio, we play it. In the past, the news had to wait for a paper to print for it to happen. Today, news happens in real time. It's analyzed, edited, and published immediately by us, your neighbors, and of course, you. Wherever you are, you write, edit, give opinions, share photos, and make the news happen. This is why a paper needs to be on print, on screen, and on your phone. Wherever you are, your news has its pulse in the community. The Boca Raton Tribune. We are much more than just a newspaper. We are your closest neighbor.
Welcome back, everyone. Moving on to the NFL, the Detroit Lions recently traded franchise quarterback Matt Stafford to the LA Rams for Jared Goff and some draft picks. Noah, what are your thoughts on that trade?
The City of Angels have a new sheriff in town. Matthew Stafford is a very good quarterback. I mean, in my opinion, he's better than Jared Goff. I mean, the stats really don't lie. And I really feel like he had the short end of the stick. I mean, in Detroit, he did have Calvin Johnson, so that is against him a little bit because, in a sense, you did have arguably one of the greatest receivers in all of history of football, and y'all didn't really go far. Although you can't just you can't win a lot with just a receiver. You have to have a whole team. It's not like a basketball where one player can basically will you far enough in the point where you can go somewhere. But now you have a team that made the playoffs, a better quarterback, the defense is there. Honestly, in my opinion, I think the City of Angels could be adding another trophy to the a Super Bowl trophy to their trophy case.
Yeah, they're definitely a threat to the NFC. Matthew Stafford, like you said, is a lot better than Jared Goff. Uh, but moving on, talking about Jared Goff in Detroit, I think he's going to be more of a stopgap option because, they have a top 10 pick in this year's draft. And Jared Goff has declined a lot. So he probably take on that Carson Wentz, Ryan Fitzpatrick role, where you just nurture the young quarterback who you draft for a couple Aaron Rodgers role, because him with Jordan Love, you
Mm-hmm.
know, have him nurture the young quarterback for a couple years, and then when that quarterback's ready, he takes over. Trey Lance is in that field. Justin Fields, if he falls, he could be there. What's his name? Zach Wilson, I think. If he falls in that area, the Lions could pick him up, and maybe they could trade up. Who knows? But I don't think Jared Goff is the long-term solution in Detroit.
The thing with Jared Goff in Detroit is they really don't have much. I don't see them necessarily drafting a quarterback. I think they can honestly win with Jared Goff. Jared Goff could be something for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have to have pieces around him. I feel like that's the one thing that the Lions are missing. They have Swift back there at the running back spot. He's pretty good. They have Galladay, but I mean, Galladay's a free agent.
Galladay's probably going to leave.
And you see what I'm saying? So it's like they have to bring somebody there to give Goff something to work with in order for this trade to be fruitful.
I've seen people say Jalen Waddle. I've seen people say if they don't draft a quarterback, Jalen Waddle. I've seen Jalen Waddle go there.
That wouldn't be bad. I mean, I could even see as despite me saying that I don't see them getting a quarterback, Justin Fields if he slides.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a bad QB. He could nurture them, and they could later on be, maybe draft some receivers later on in the draft. But if they manage to get Waddle with Goff, that could be something.
The reason I say they should draft a quarterback this year is because Jared Goff is a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback, right? Solid quarterback. But this is a really good year to get a franchise quarterback because you have Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and then Trey Lance is like the last ones who could be potential franchise QBs. I feel like it's a great year to get a quarterback. You can get one anywhere from number 1 to number 15. And then this is a really deep receiving class. Like you can get a number 1 receiver maybe in like the late second round. it's a very deep receiving class. So that's me personally why I feel like they should draft a quarterback this year and could wait on a receiver or
That
other
makes
weapons.
sense. That makes sense. I mean, but it's crazy how one trade makes one team a Super Bowl favorite, while it makes another team. It helps another team rebuild in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like somebody got the keys to a Ferrari and the other person got the keys to a Ford Focus. It's crazy how that works.
Mm-hmm. But moving on, the Dolphins have finally hired their offensive coordinator. They just promoted from within,
As
but
they should.
it's a weird arrangement. They don't really have an offensive coordinator. They have offensive coordinators, plural, two offensive coordinators. Eric Studsville, the running back coach, and George Godsey, the tight end coach, are now offensive coordinators for the Miami Dolphins. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, at the end of the day, two heads are better than one. I know we've talked about it before, but I truly feel like this could be good. As weird as it sounds, I think I see what they're trying to do. I feel like the only issue would be on who's gonna call the plays.
Mm-hmm.
Who will be the actual like person decide, hey man, we need to do this, we need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Dolphins think this is what's gonna be best, I say
We
let's
just
let it ride.
we just gotta wait and see. I mean, I've seen somewhere that said this, right? The good is this could happen. Eric Studsville was the running back coach.
Mm-hmm.
George Godsey was tight end coach. In LA, they have co-offensive coordinators as well. They have a running game coordinator and a pass game coordinator.
Okay.
Studsville could be the run game coordinator, and Godsey could be the pass game coordinator, and that could work. One calls the passing plays, the other calls the running plays. That could work. But when you look at the cons of that, since there's two heads, yeah, Flores, who's a defensive guy, he could maybe he might focus more of his attention on the offense side of the ball to make sure that those two are fulfilling his offensive vision, which means he's going to spend less time on the defensive side of the ball, which is his bread and butter, and which his team's bread and butter. So that might make the defense suffer.
I don't necessarily think that would be the case. I feel like at the end of the day, if it comes down to like a fourth quarter situation, we need to decide what we're gonna do. He's gonna have the final say on what they're gonna do and what they're not gonna do.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, yeah, two guys to focus on offense. If I'm Flores, why am I worrying about you guys so much? If
mm-hmm,
it gets to the point where I have to worry about you, I'm picking one, and that's just gonna be it.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, ultimately, I really do feel like it'll work. Flores can still focus on the defense. The defense will still be great, but it'll be a learning process to say the least. But this year we'll actually have a preseason. Tua was actually on Get Up today,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about it. And it's like he actually has a preseason now. He'll actually have time where he can actually practice in-game situations and during a game, preseason game. We can see how this is going to work with the coaching. So this year, next season, will be back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go from there and we can see how everything will work out.
I agree. I agree with your assessment, but moving on to our out of bounds segment. I just wanted to get to this segment as quickly as possible because we got to talk about this.
Oh yeah. Oh,
EA Sports recently announced that they're bringing back college football. What are your thoughts on
um, when I first saw the Sports Center broke the news, my jaw dropped.
that? Mm-hmm.
I didn't have this mask on, so like y'all can really see the excitement in my face right now. But like the thing that got me was it won't be ready for some years. They're saying that the target date on a fan page that I follow is 2023. So not this coming year, but the next year after that. They are expecting a college football game. The one glaring thing I did notice was that NCAA was taken out of the title, and it was EA Sports College Football.
That's what I was just about to say because I don't think a lot of people noticed that.
That right there could say one or two things. A, we're gonna have college football, but we won't have the colleges, or B, we'll have the colleges and it'll be just like it was before.
They just changed the name.
I do feel like the one thing that we do need is team builder. If we were to go to option A and we have team builder, it won't matter.
They're
We
definitely
can,
have team builder.
if we have team builder, it won't matter. We people make high school teams and put it in NCAA. Like we can do that. If we can have that, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made an Alabama roster or a Clemson roster or a Notre Dame roster, or LSU or A&T roster, whatever it may be. I would like to see that they come up with a storyline. The storylines now are really good. I would love to see them integrate HBCUs or smaller schools. Leaning more so towards HBCUs. I feel like it would be really good for them to highlight the historically black colleges football that have really good football teams like us and Grambling, Alcorn State. So many great NFL talents, including Jerry Rice, Michael Strahan, Tariq Cohen, guys that went to these HBCUs who did great things in the league and are still doing great things in the league, like Darius Leonard. These guys, they went to HBCUs. Wouldn't it be nice to highlight an opportunity for you to create a 5-star recruit, 4-star recruit, however good you are in high school, that good that says, I'm going to go against the grain. Instead of going to Alabama or LSU, I'm going to take my talents to Tuskegee, or I'm going to take my talents to Southern University. I feel like that's something like that would be really good to see.
I agree. Me personally, I don't like the storylines. It's just I just like to play the game. Storylines take too much away from it. For me. But I just want Road to Glory. Road to Glory was the
That's what I
only
mean.
I know. I'm saying like Road to Glory was the only mode I played. I didn't really play quick game because the players weren't in the game. It was just position, number.
Numbers.
So players weren't in the game. So there's no point in me really playing Dynasty. I mean, you knew who they were because you could tell by their numbers, but they didn't have their name on there, so they were just generic.
Yeah.
So like
I mean,
Dynasty, I wasn't doing that. Quick game wasn't doing that. I was only playing Road to Glory.
see,
And
I
if
was
they
a guy
have
that liked
that, I'll be
Dynasty.
okay with that.
See, Dynasty was fun to me. I like Dynasty. Dynasty's cool.
Hmm.
Cause I like recruiting. I like doing like going to California, getting number one recruit, bringing them to Carolina,
Hmm.
or whatever it was, whatever team I used. But definitely, I really feel like Road to Glory needs a storyline. You can skip through the scenes. I want the scenes. I'm one of those guys that if I'm paying $70 per game now because the PS5 and the Xbox Series X upcharge the games
Hmm.
to $10 more, so they're not $70. I want a story mode. I'm sorry, Trey. You can
Hmm.
skip it. I'm gonna watch
I mean, I
it.
hope they let me skip it and don't let me sit through those cutscenes like they did with 2K18 with the lady. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was horrible.
What was her name? I forgot what her name was.
It was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Whatever her
was
name
awful.
was.
And it was unskippable. Like if you're gonna have cutscenes, give me the choice to skip it,
That's the one.
especially if there's not like those the stuff that happens in the game where you
Yeah.
make your own choices. I can see if you can't skip a cutscene because you have to make a choice. I can see that. But if it's just a straight cutscene, I don't want to
Yeah.
watch it. It's just pointless.
Absolutely. It is pointless. But hot takes time.
It is hot takes time. Did you see my hot take or no?
I would love. I mean, it should be pretty easy to defend. It's not that hot. Last week's was Inferno, so I'm proud of
Mhm.
you for actually having a decent hot take that's not super hot. So
Okay.
please share with
I
the class.
believe I know that me and my brother are very, we're pretty Heat and Dolphins biased on the show a little bit, but we talk about them a lot, but I don't think the Miami Heat will make the playoffs this season. I think they'll come close. I think they'll turn the season around and come close, but I think they'll just miss out simply because it's unpredictable this season with COVID. Team could catch COVID again. Who knows? And
Yeah,
the Heat haven't played good this season. Injuries could affect the team too. Who knows? Hopefully not. But I just think the Heat will get to a point in the season where they'll just, if they don't make a trade, they'll just pack it in, just be like, hey, we'll just get next year. Especially if they go to Victor Oladipo, because like I said earlier, there's no point in trading for Victor Oladipo. He's going to be a free agent this season. You might as well get him for free.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're going to go after a player like him or other free agents in 2021, because even though Giannis is not a free agent, there's still plenty of other great players coming out in free agency this year, like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. You know, it's possible that they could leave LA and come to the Heat. Who knows? There's other players as well, but I just think the Heat don't have it right now. They had the longest layoff along with the Lakers. I'm sorry, the shortest layoff along with the Lakers. From the NBA Finals to now, they could
Yeah.
still be feeling the effects because they just recently, stopped playing basketball like a couple months ago, like October, like October, September. They stopped playing basketball, and now they're back at it again. And all these
Yeah.
other teams had 8-month breaks and stuff, so it's like I just don't think the Heat have it right now. I mean, you could say the thing about the Lakers, but the Lakers have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, so obviously they're going to be okay. The Heat don't
They'll
have
be
that.
just
So
fine.
yeah, they'll be just fine. But the Heat, they don't have that right now. And then Jimmy Butler's only played like 4 games, so 4 or 5 games, 6 games. So
So, um, that is very valid. Okay, so mine is a little hot, but I have it under control.
mhm.
The Brooklyn Nets will fall to the Boston Celtics in the NBA playoffs this year. Um, where everybody sees their offense, they miss the important thing about basketball, and that's defense. The Boston Celtics are not that bad on the defensive end, where the Brooklyn Nets are. Even their coach Steve Nash has come on record and said, like, yeah, these guys aren't the best defenders in the world. They're not bad defenders. They're definitely capable of holding a team from scoring. But when you have scorers like Jason Tatum, guys like Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, that team is a firepower. Even when they played the Lakers, they came within 1 point, 1 or 2 points, within three of beating the Lakers. And you can honestly chalk that up to losing Marcus Smart in the second half. Or first second quarter, third quarter.
I don't remember.
So when you put that in perspective, like, yeah, if the Lakers are the favorite, if people think the Lakers can actually beat this team right here, this Brooklyn Nets team, and the Boston Celtics came within 3 points of beating the said Lakers team, why is it hard for people to understand? Or why would it be hard to fathom that the Boston Celtics will beat the Brooklyn Nets? Now, when I say they're going to beat the Brooklyn Nets, it's not going to be a 4-game series or even a 6-game series. It's going to go 7. Because at the end of the day, you have Kevin Durant, who's going to give you 30 points. You have James Harden, who's capable of giving you 30 plus. You have Kyrie Irving, who's shown he can give you 40 points. All of these guys on offense are a problem. But at the end of the day, their ability to stop the ball from going in the basket will be the reason why the Boston Celtics will get their first finals appearance in some years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my hot take for the week.
That's extremely hot. Because I think the Nets are going to make it to the finals. But hey, you defended it pretty well. They have a glaring weakness, especially at the center position.
And
But
that's for Boston. Tristan Thompson had a double-double the other night at 17 and 10.
he's a double threat. But alas, that's it for today's show. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune on all social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for @Boca Tribune. You can also follow the show on Instagram at @the_timeout7. Follow me on my personal Twitter at TreyAvant3.
You can follow me on Instagram at ArcBuilder Noah, and you can follow me on Twitter at Who Builds Arcs.
Timeout airs every Thursday at 7 p.m. As always, this is the Avant Bros signing off.